You won't believe what these scientists stumbled upon in Siberia. Giants have long captivated human imagination as enormous beings that tower over us. Despite their massive size, these creatures have left few traces, leading some to speculate that evidence of their existence has been deliberately concealed. From 10-foot-tall bones to giant prehistoric creatures, here are 20 discoveries that prove giants actually exist. Number 20. The Great Megalodon. Megalodon, one of the largest creatures that ever existed, ruled the oceans from about 23 to 2.6 million years ago during the Miocene and Pliocene epochs. Megalodon thrived in warm, shallow seas that covered much of the planet. During its reign, this creature reached a length of over 60 feet, the same size as 2 school buses, making it one of the longest creatures to have ever lived. Megalodon was also a heavyweight, weighing as much as 50 tons. Needless to say, Megalodon still stands as the largest shark to have ever lived. With its size, this species boasted the most powerful bite of any creature. Scientists have estimated its bite force to be between 10.8 and 18.2 tons, enough to crush the skull of a prehistoric whale like a grape. For reference, this bite force is significantly stronger than the bite force of the Tyrannosaurus rex. I guess its name, Megalodon, which translates to big tooth, is for a good reason. Its teeth could grow over 7 inches long, about the size of a human hand, and were serrated for slicing through flesh and bone. These massive teeth are among the most common fossils found, often prized by collectors for their size and variety of colors. Unfortunately, just like many of the giant creatures that once lived, the Megalodon was a species that failed to adapt to the changing planet, leading to their extinction. However, to this day, many continue to believe that this behemoth continues to lurk in the abyss, in the deepest part of the ocean where light never reaches. Number 19. The 10-foot-tall bones found in Nevada's Lovelock Cave. Bat guano, or bat droppings, are used as incredibly valuable fertilizer. Lovelock Cave in Nevada was one of the places where this guano could be found. It was during the search for this product that miners in 1911 stumbled upon bizarre skeletons, human skeletons that just so happened to be 8 to 10 feet tall. The excavations in 1912 and 1924 unearthed thousands of artifacts, including tools, bones, and massive skeletons. Among the most striking finds were 15-inch-long sandals, well worn from use, and a boulder with what appeared to be a large handprint engraved on it. In 1931, further discoveries were made in a dry lake bed near Lovelock, 2 more giant skeletons measuring 8.5 and 10 feet. Now, these finds have puzzled archaeologists. You see, these skeletons weren't only tall, but they also had red hair. This makes the skeletons fit the description of the Cetacea, or the Redhaired Giants. Number 18. The footprint of a giant in South Africa. In the remote and mountainous region of South Africa, near the town of Umuzi, there's a giant indent on a cliff wall. This is allegedly one of the pieces of evidence that giants truly roamed our planet in the past. This feature, known as the giant's footprint or the Goliath's footprint, was discovered in 1912 by a hunter named Stoffel Coetzee. It measures about 1.2 meters or 4 feet in length and, strangely enough, bears a striking resemblance to a human foot, complete with clearly defined toes and a heel. However, that's not the only thing that makes this feature so bizarre. You see, the footprint is etched into a type of granite known as Mpuluzi batholith, which geologists estimate to be around 3.1 billion years old. With its shape and the type of rock it was found in, this footprint has since convinced many to believe in the existence of giants. While some suggest that this feature merely formed due to natural erosion, others believe that billions of years ago, a giant being stepped foot on this cliff wall and left this indent for us to see today. The giant's footprint is now believed to be a sacred site by many visitors, who often leave coins in the heel of the footprint, hoping for good fortune. Number 17. The Redhaired Giants. According to the legends of the Paiute tribe, the Cetacea were a race of red-haired giants who once inhabited the area around what is now known as Lovelock Cave. These giants, standing over 10 feet tall, were said to be ferocious. These behemoths knew how to fight, and they also had a penchant for consuming human flesh. Their prey, the local tribes along with the Paiute. The legends describe how the Paiute, after enduring the terror of the giants for generations, finally banded together with other tribes to defeat them. The climax of the struggle occurred at Lovelock Cave, where the tribes trapped the Cetacea, set the entrance on fire, and left them to perish. Now, it was allegedly the bones of these giants that researchers discovered in Lovelock Cave back in 1911. Of course, many were skeptical. After all, coincidences can happen. Some scholars suggest that the hair color could be a result of burial conditions. However, others believe that the red hair found on the skeletons, along with their height, supports the idea that the alleged man-eating red-haired giants living near Lovelock Cave truly once existed. Number 16. The giants encountered by Magellan. Ferdinand Magellan is a renowned Portuguese navigator and explorer from Spain. He sailed around South America and discovered what is now known as the Strait of Magellan. For 3 years, he voyaged around the Earth and achieved the first circumnavigation of the planet in history. He recorded a lot of things about his journey, and one of the most intriguing ones in his writings is about giants. In 1520, Ferdinand Magellan was sailing along the coast of what is now Patagonia, Argentina, where he encountered real-life giants, or at least that's what he believed. As the story goes, the crew spotted a gigantic figure dancing and singing on the shore. Instead of sailing away, Magellan sent one of his men to make contact with the giant, who luckily turned out to be friendly, despite towering so high that the tallest European only reached his waist. At the time, 5 feet 6 inches was considered the average height of people in Europe, yet this being, now known as the Patagonian giant, towered over them at a height of over 10 feet. Magellan named these beings Patagons, a term possibly derived from the Portuguese word pata, meaning foot, inspired by the large footprints the giants left behind. Magellan might have been great at voyaging, but one must admit he wasn't very creative in giving nicknames. Before leaving, Magellan even attempted to bring 2 of these giants back to Spain as proof of his discovery, but unfortunately, they did not survive the journey. Again, that's according to existing writings, which of course came from Magellan and his crew. While some believe that the story is an oral tradition that was exaggerated as it was passed down, others believe that the navigator truly had a brush with giant beings. Number 15. A giant snake, the mystery of the Serpent Mound. The Serpent Mound in Adams County, Ohio, is one of the most enigmatic and fascinating prehistoric effigy mounds in North America. Spanning about 1,348 feet in length and 3 feet in height, this mound is shaped like a serpent with a coiled tail and a mouth that appears to be holding an oval-shaped object. For so long, we've been trying to learn the secret behind this effigy. Initially, it was attributed to the Adena culture that flourished around 1000 BCE to 200 CE due to nearby burial mounds containing Adena artifacts. However, radiocarbon dating of charcoal samples from the mound suggests it might have been constructed around 1070 CE, which aligns with the late prehistoric Fort Ancient culture. Aside from its origin, we still don't know just what exactly this effigy means, but we do have theories. Some believe that this mound was used for astrology. The head of the serpent aligns with the sunset during the summer solstice, while other parts of the mound align with the winter solstice sunrise and the equinoxes. Some researchers, however, suggest that these alignments indicate the mound was used to mark the passage of time and the changing seasons. Others, however, believe that this mound was made after the likeness of a giant serpent that once roamed the region in the past. Number 14. The Graveyard of Giants in China. In 2017, experts announced the discovery of giants in China. However, contrary to what you're thinking, these skeletons only measured 5 feet 9 inches tall. While that might not sound too impressive in today's time, 5,000 years ago, these men might have been the tallest out of everyone in the region. Researchers believe that the remarkable height of these individuals can be attributed to their high-status positions within their society. After all, these taller individuals likely had access to better nutrition, thanks to their proximity to millet crops and a varied diet, which contributed to their exceptional growth. These skeletons might not belong to the conventional giants, but they're still pretty impressive, don't you think? Number 13. The Giants of Solomon Island. The Solomon Islands are an archipelago in the South Pacific. In the wilderness of this region are allegedly giants that continue to thrive in the jungles and remote mountainous regions. Described as towering beings over 10 feet tall with muscular builds, long dark hair, and distinctive facial features, these giants are something even locals are familiar with. According to local legends, the Solomon Island giants are not just mythical figures, but were once real inhabitants of the islands. Indigenous people have passed down stories of these giants for generations, detailing encounters that include their imposing physical presence, characterized by broad shoulders, flat noses, wide mouths, and often red eyes. In fact, during World War II, Japanese soldiers stationed on the islands reported encounters with these giants, describing them as aggressive and sometimes cannibalistic. Eyewitness reports from islanders are numerous and consistent, often describing the giants' nocturnal activities and occasional raids on human settlements. Some reports even include footprints measuring up to 4 feet long and sightings of giant bones. Unfortunately, none of these claims have been scientifically verified. Despite the numerous accounts and local beliefs, the existence of the Solomon Island giants remains unproven. At the same time, their existence has not been dismissed, and so until we explore the entirety of the Solomon Islands, we're free to speculate about these beings. Number 12. The Ohio Grassman. The Grassman, also known as the Ohio Grassman, is one of Ohio's most legendary cryptids. Often described as a Bigfoot-like creature but with distinct characteristics and behaviors, sightings of this elusive being date back to the 19th century, with the first recorded encounter in 1869. Now, this creature allegedly stands at about 7 to 9 feet tall and weighs a staggering 300 pounds. It's covered in dark, matted hair and is noted for its large human-like build. This being is similar to Bigfoot, but unlike Sasquatch, the Grassman is known for constructing nests out of tall grass, hence its name. In fact, these nests are one of the things that allegedly prove the existence of the Grassman. You see, these hut-like structures are often found in the fields and forests of Ohio, particularly around Salt Fork State Park, which coincidentally is also a hotspot for Grassman sightings. Witnesses have reported seeing the creature hunting in packs, a behavior not commonly associated with other Sasquatch sightings. While concrete evidence of the Grassman remains elusive, the legend continues to thrive, drawing cryptid enthusiasts and researchers to Ohio in hopes of finally capturing this elusive creature. Number 11. The giant spider of Congo. Giant humans weren't the only giants that allegedly existed. There are also the giants of the animal kingdom. Let's start with the giant spider of Congo, known as the JBA fofi, or simply the giant spider. This creature has been part of local lore since the early 20th century. One of the first documented encounters occurred in the 1930s when a British couple, Reginald and Margaret Lloyd, reported seeing a massive spider while traveling through the Congo. They described it as a tarantula-like creature that darted across the road in front of their vehicle. This horrifying creature has also been described as having a dark brown, hairy body. These massive spiders are also known to build large webs between trees and dig burrows beneath these webs, camouflaging them with leaves and debris. Their primary prey? Forest animals such as birds and antelopes. Imagine an arachnid so massive that it's capable of consuming an antelope. Local legends also tell of tribesmen who have fallen victim to these giant webs, meeting a grisly end at the fangs of the waiting spider. Despite these compelling stories, skeptics argue that the JBA fofi could simply be a case of misidentification or exaggeration. After all, the largest arachnid we've identified so far only measures a mere 12 inches. Is it truly possible that a spider spanning several feet wide lurks in the jungles, undetected? I'll let you be the judge. Number 10. 50-foot Congo Snake. In 1959, Colonel Remy van Lierde, a Belgian pilot, was flying over the Katanga region of the Congo when he saw something he couldn't quite believe, a giant snake. By giant, I mean a serpent that measured over 50 feet long. Now, this claim isn't mere legend. You see, Colonel Remy somehow managed to snap a photo of the alleged giant snake. This image, though grainy and ambiguous, has been analyzed extensively. Some enthusiasts, like biologist Ivan Sanderson, even claimed the snake might have been as long as 200 feet based on comparison with nearby objects in the photo. Despite these claims, the existence of such a large snake remains unverified. The largest known snakes today, such as the green anaconda and the reticulated python, can reach lengths of 20 to 30 feet, far shorter than the supposed 50-foot Congo snake. Even so, many continue to believe that this giant snake once existed in the Congo's wilderness. Number 9. The first complete skeleton with gigantism. In 2012, archaeologists discovered a complete skeleton of an ancient Roman giant dating back to the 3rd century AD. The skeleton measures a staggering 6 feet 8 inches tall. Now, for reference, the average Roman male at the time would have only stood at about 5 feet 6 inches, making this man a giant towering among his peers. Researchers believe that the man suffered from a condition known as gigantism. This condition is usually caused by an overproduction of growth hormone, usually due to a pituitary gland tumor, which leads to excessive growth during childhood. This condition is rare, affecting about 3 people in a million. It's likely that in the past it was even rarer, making this man a unique sight in ancient Rome. Number 8. The 40-foot-long snake. In the lush, swampy jungles of what is now Colombia, there was a giant snake that lived in the prehistoric era, the Great Titanoboa. This snake is the largest one ever discovered, stretching an astonishing 42 to 50 feet and weighing over 2,500 pounds. This 40-foot-long serpent was unearthed from the Sarajan coal mines in 2009 by a team of researchers led by Dr. Jonathan Block of the University of Florida and Dr. Carlos Jaramillo of the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute. Titanoboa resembled modern-day boas and anacondas, but on a much larger scale. Its massive size suggests it was a constrictor, using its powerful muscles to subdue prey. Can you imagine just how powerful this snake was? With its size alone, it would have easily dominated large prey. Now, can you imagine what would have happened if only this creature had managed to adapt to the changing planet? I bet the wilderness of Colombia would be far different than what it is today. Number 7. one of the heaviest mammals that ever lived. Continuing with the largest creatures that ever lived, we have the Barolambda, a true gentle giant that lived during the Paleocene epoch. This large herbivorous mammal roamed North America around 58 to 55 million years ago, shortly after the extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs. At the time, this creature was the largest mammal living on land. Barolambda was a robust creature with a body length of about 8 to 10 feet and an estimated weight of around 2,000 pounds. The first fossils of this giant mammal were discovered in the late 19th and early 20th centuries in North America. These fossils, primarily found in Wyoming and Colorado, include well-preserved skeletal remains that have allowed paleontologists to reconstruct the animal's appearance and lifestyle. Just like the largest dinosaurs that have lived in the past, the Barolambda was an herbivore with a diet that likely consisted of leaves, fruits, and possibly aquatic plants. Fossil evidence indicates that Barolambda inhabited lush forested regions near rivers and lakes. This habitat would have offered a rich supply of vegetation and water, essential for sustaining large herbivores. Number 6. The Hand of a Giant. In the Pangboche Monastery in Nepal lies the Pangboche Hand, an artifact that allegedly belongs to a giant being, particularly the Yeti. The Pangboche Hand is named after the Pangboche Monastery in Nepal, where it was housed for many years. The hand is a skeletal relic, roughly resembling a human hand. The monks of the monastery revered this artifact, believing it to be from the abominable snowman. In the 1950s, the Pangboche Hand came to the attention of Westerners through expeditions to the Himalayas. The artifact further gained attention when, in 1957, explorer Peter Byrne took photographs and partial samples of the hand. Byrne later facilitated the theft of a few bones from the hand, smuggling them out of Nepal with the help of actor James Stewart, who hid the bones in his wife's luggage during a flight to London. The stolen bones eventually made their way to the United States, where they were analyzed by primatologist William Charles Osman Hill. Hill's analysis suggested that the bones did not match any known human or primate species. This immediately shut down skeptics who were confident that the alleged hand merely belonged to a giant mammal. But from which creature was the hand truly from? Unfortunately, the limited sample size made it impossible to determine which creature the hand belonged to. Today, however, many believe that the Pangboche hand truly is the hand of a Yeti. Number 5. The largest crocodile that ever lived. Crocodiles today are monstrous, but did you know that in the past, far more ferocious versions of these beings roamed our planet? Meet the Purosaurus. This colossal predator roamed the rivers and swamps in the ancient landscapes of South America during the Miocene epoch, around 13 to 9 million years ago. Fossils of this giant have been found primarily in what is now Venezuela. This species was first described in 2007 by a team of paleontologists who discovered its remains in the Urumaco Formation of Venezuela. Purosaurus is estimated to have reached lengths of up to 33 feet, making it one of the largest crocodiliforms known. Unlike modern crocodiles, which have relatively flat skulls, Purosaurus had a high, narrow skull with serrated teeth, which are best for tearing through flesh, no matter how tough it is. As an apex predator, Purosaurus would have been at the top of the food chain in its environment. Its diet likely consisted of large vertebrates, including prehistoric mammals, reptiles, and perhaps other crocodiliforms. Imagine just how ferocious a behemoth it was if it was a being capable of preying on other crocs as well. Number 4. One of the largest flying birds ever to exist. Imagine a Cessna 152 plane soaring through the sky, not quite frightening. Now imagine a bird of the same size. Horrifying, right? Such a creature truly existed about 6 million years ago during the late Miocene epoch. This creature is the great Argentine bird, one of the largest flying birds ever discovered. The Argentavis was not just impressive in size, with a wingspan reaching up to 23 feet and weighing between 154 to 216 pounds. When upright, it stood about 5 to 6 feet tall. Imagine a bird standing as tall as a human adult. Living in the grassy plains and forests of what is now Argentina, Argentavis was primarily a scavenger. Its sharp beak and powerful talons allowed it to tear apart carrion, feeding on the remains of large mammals that roamed the land. Scientists believe that a long time ago, these creatures used their size and strength to intimidate smaller predators and steal their catch. After all, these creatures needed to consume a staggering 5 to 11 pounds of meat to sustain their enormous body. Number 3. Prehistoric armadillos the size of a Mini Cooper. About 2.5 million to 10,000 years ago, armadillos roamed the vast plains of South America, armadillos the size of Mini Coopers. Yes, you heard that right. Glyptodon was truly a giant among prehistoric mammals. It measured up to 10 feet in length and could weigh as much as 2 tons. Fossils of Glyptodon have been found primarily in South America, particularly in Argentina, Uruguay, and Brazil. These creatures thrived in a variety of environments, from open grasslands to more wooded areas. Its most striking feature was its large, dome-shaped carapace made of bony plates called osteoderms. Unlike the armadillos we see today, this creature had a carapace resembling that of a modern turtle. However, despite their size, these creatures were true gentle giants. They never sought prey as they were herbivores, feeding on grasses and other plants in the plains. However, despite its formidable armor, Glyptodon was not immune to predation. The Pleistocene epoch was home to several large predators, including saber-toothed cats and giant short-faced bears. With the rise of man and the changing planet, Glyptodon stood no chance and was eventually driven to extinction. Number 2. One of the ocean's heavyweights, the king lizard. The Basilosaurus was a marine mammal that once roamed the ancient seas around 40 to 34 million years ago during the late Eocene epoch. Now, it might have earned the title of being the king lizard, but this creature is actually an early whale. Basilosaurus was an impressive predator, reaching lengths of up to 60 feet and weighing around 10 tons. Its body was long and eel-like, which led some scientists to speculate that it swam with an undulating motion similar to eels. Unlike the streamlined bodies of today's whales, Basilosaurus had a relatively small brain for its size, which meant it wasn't as social as the whales we see today. However, what it lacked in number and social coordination, it made up for in jaw strength and teeth. Now it's time for today's topic. They found a giant in Siberia, and what happens next is still unexplained. In this photo, you can see an alleged giant creature lurking in an ice wall. We have yet to determine just what this creature is, but many are compelled to believe that this is a gigantic creature that thrived in Siberia without our knowledge. According to Bergman's rule, colder climates spawn bigger bodies because a larger build helps retain heat, unlike smaller bodies that help shed it. Essentially, according to this principle, the colder the climate is, the more the creature's body mass increases. Following Bergman's rule, it's possible that a gigantic creature is lurking in the colder parts of our planet, waiting to be identified and discovered. Number 1. The Giant of Castell. In 1890, in the small French town of Castelnau-le-Lez, anthropologist Georges Vacher de Lapouge discovered 3 enormous bone fragments while excavating a Bronze Age cemetery. He claimed that these fragments belonged to a giant, a being that's now referred to as the Giant of Castell. The bone fragments included a humerus, tibia, and femur, all significantly larger than those of an average human. Vacher de Lapouge estimated that if the bones were indeed human, the individual would have stood between 11 to 12 feet tall. Detailed measurements of the bones indicated that they were much thicker and longer than those of an average human. For instance, the humerus was 14 inches long. Such proportions are not typical, even among the tallest humans known from history, which further fueled the debate about the bone's origins. While this discovery sounds groundbreaking, from the very beginning, it was met with skepticism. You see, the idea of a human of such immense size existing in relatively recent prehistory was hard for many to accept. Critics pointed out that bone deformation, misidentification, or even deliberate hoaxes could account for the oversized bones. Despite these criticisms, Lapouge insisted that the bones were human, particularly an exceptionally large individual. In the years following the initial discovery, several attempts were made to validate Lapouge's claims. However, the bones themselves were lost during the turmoil of World War II, making direct analysis impossible. This loss left a gap in the evidence that could have conclusively determined whether the bones belonged to a giant human or were misidentified fragments of another large vertebrate. And so, to this day, the Giant of Castell remains a mystery. Were they truly lost in history or deliberately misplaced to hide the fake nature of the bones? The verdict is still out on this one. With these discoveries, giants existing on our planet a long time ago doesn't really sound impossible now. Perhaps you have more compelling discoveries to add. If so, feel free to comment them down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.